Hi there. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to replace the molding on your arcade machine. So if you have any sort of scuffs or anything like that and you want to go ahead and take off the scuffed up molding on it, and you want to go ahead and replace it with some new molding, like right here, you'll see there's a whole roll right over here and has been used before. I'm going to show you how to take it off. Now over here on the top, you're going to see that there's like this little seam on the back of the machine. This is where the door is. This is for a 412 model, but usually when you see a piece that's wrapped all the way around, you know, it's never just one closed piece. It's always going to have an open end over here. Now when you're on the sides, you know, obviously you're going to have a piece up here where it ends, and so you know that's where you're going to be starting taking it off from. So I usually like to use, you know, a little flathead screwdriver like this to remove it, and it's pretty easy. I'll show you right over here. Now over here, you just want to get it underneath, because there's going to be this little lip that it's going to catch on. So as you can see, it's not perfectly flat. There's going to be a little lip, and usually that's on the bottom. So I'm just going to pull, and you can get underneath it, and that's when you can pull it the rest of the way off. And as you can see, it's going to have that little groove that sits in here into the wood. And so at this point, you just continue pulling, pulling, and pulling until you eventually take off the rest of it. And that's going to be the same thing over here. I'm just going to put it in there, give it a little twist, you know, get a little pull on it, and then you'll see it's just going to come right off. Pretty simple. Same thing over here. There's the end, and there's another end on the bottom. You can start on either end. And same thing over here. You know, it's pretty straightforward. You know, it's just molding that will insert using the groove into the wood right there. And to put it back on, I'm going to use these two pieces that I took off just as an example. So usually what you want to do is just line it up as best as you can. Make sure you have the grooves going in slightly, just like this. And you're going to be using a rubber mallet. Now we want to use a rubber mallet so that way when we hit it against the molding, it's not going to scratch it or scuff it up any. And so what you want to do is work little by little until you get all the way up until the end. So usually like corners with this one, let me show you. You know, you're just going to round it off. And right here, I'm just going to plant it right here up until you get to the corner right there. I'm just going to put it a little bit so that way it can support its own weight, just like that. I'm just going to bang that in. Put this down on the ground. And you want to work your way up. There we go. And you just want to put this in slightly so that way it's sitting. Just like that. All right, and as you can see, there's a little gap right there, and what we're going to do with the mallet is just close the gap, working your way up. There we go. And then as you can see, if it gets a little bumpy or whatever, just try to hit the peaks right there with the mallet. And as you can see, it's all flat and it's all in there, and as if you tug it with your fingers, that's not coming out one bit. Let's give it a try right over here. So I'm just going to be hitting it on the side right here. I'm going to be placing it up so that way it's all the way up. And so as you can see, you know, it's going to have that gap right over here all along the side from where I took it off. So now in order to close that gap, all we're going to do is just hit it with the mallet. And as you can see, that gap has now gone away and it looks as good as new. All right, so that's just the basic steps on how to remove and put on the molding. Now at this point, before you put any molding on, you know, it's good to, you know, be able to measure and know how much you're using. And in order to cut them, you know, you could use straight scissors, or if you have, I have a razor blade like this. And so, you know, a little small piece, I'm just gonna go down and it's gonna cut fairly easy. It's pretty light rubber. So yeah, it'll just cut straight through. You don't really need a heavy duty cutter or anything like that. This is just a soft rubber. It's pretty pliable. So yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know.